Welcome, viewers. This video is produced strictly for educational and academic analysis. Its purpose is to explore the theoretical frameworks of international, political psychology and criminal psychology using the mechanism of the Magnitsky Sanctions as a hypothetical case study in coercive diplomacy. It does not intend to target, accuse, or libel any specific individual, state actor, or real-world organization. Rather, it aims to examine how systemic external pressure impacts power dynamics, cognitive defense mechanisms, and human decision-making processes under extreme stress. If you find this scholarly deep dive insightful, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to support the continued creation of rigorous educational content. Lecture 2, The Psychological Warfare of Magnitsky Sanctions through International Political Psychology and Criminal Psychology. Why do key figures in authoritarian regimes fear financial sanctions more than armed force? Greetings. Today we will conduct an in-depth examination from the dual perspectives of international political psychology and criminal psychology into how the Magnitsky Sanctions, widely regarded as one of the most potent non-military tools in modern international politics, dismantle human psychological resilience. When people think of sanctions between nations, they often picture broad economic or trade embargoes. However, the targeted sanctions we are examining today are not merely macroeconomic policies designed to restrict capital flow. The core mechanism of this instrument is the systematic breakdown of individual psychological fortitude. It involves no gunfire, no missile launches, and no troop deployments. Yet it possesses the capacity to destabilize an individual's entire lived reality. In international political psychology, this phenomenon is conceptualized as a textbook example of coercive diplomacy. This psychological impact tends to manifest far more intensely in individuals who have spent prolonged periods at the pinnacle of power compared to ordinary citizens. Why is this the case? Individuals in high power positions often spend a lifetime operating under the belief that they exert total control over their environment. When a person repeatedly experiences an reality where a single command from them initiates investigations, controls judicial outcomes, and dictates the fates of others, they gradually develop an illusion that their authority is absolute. In criminal psychology, this cognitive pattern is defined as the illusion of omnipotence brought on by unchecked power. However, the international arena operates on a vastly larger structural scale. While domestic political power remains absolute within physical borders, the global financial system and international sanction regimes function within an overarching rules-based order. It is precisely at this boundary where domestic authority collides with global infrastructure that the power holder's psychological foundation begins to erode rapidly. Today we have psychological erosion across 5 distinct stages. Stage 1, denial and rationalization. Every psychological collapse begins with denial. The human brain cannot easily digest a sudden existential shift in reality. Individuals who hold high political or institutional power demonstrate an exceptionally strong defense mechanism against accepting the possibility of their own downfall. Their initial internal monologue follows a predictable pattern. They would never actually impose sanctions on me. I am an indispensable figure within the state infrastructure. No authority can touch me within my home domain. This mode of thinking is not an accurate assessment of reality, but rather a psychological coping mechanism. Criminal psychology identifies this as cognitive distortion, a process wherein an individual systematically minimizes unfavorable realities while selectively processing only information that flatters their existing worldview. During this initial phase, state patriotism or hyper-nationalism serves as a powerful psychological shield. By reinterpreting external diplomatic pressure as a direct assault on the nation itself, the individual attempts self-persuasion. Foreign powers are attacking our nation. This is a violation of domestic sovereignty. While such rationalizations temporarily alleviate acute anxiety, They fail to alter objective reality. As time passes, the widening gap between objective conditions and internal belief structures lays the groundwork for a far greater psychological shock down the line. Stage 2, loss of omnipotence and isolation anxiety. Eventually, reality manifests not through rhetoric, but through concrete financial data. Overseas bank accounts are frozen. International financial transactions are blocked. Access to offshore assets is revoked. Credit cards are declined. The lifestyle and education of family members residing abroad face severe disruption. At this juncture, the individual experiences firsthand the stark reality that their domestic authority holds no currency beyond physical borders. International political psychology categorizes this phenomenon as the loss of omnipotence. Previously, the individual utilized legal and state apparatuses to control others and shape societal outcomes. Now they find themselves positioned as the object of control under a vastly superior international system. This role reversal triggers severe feelings of helplessness. Research in criminal psychology demonstrates that during periods of power loss, individuals experience far greater psychological stress from the loss of agency and control than from the actual material or financial damage sustained. Human beings inherently fear the loss of autonomy more than the loss of wealth. Consequently, this stage frequently manifests in acute anxiety, chronic stress, sleep disruption, interpersonal paranoia, and hypervigilance. Stage 3, breakdown of institutional trust and paranoia. As external pressure mounts, the individual begins to harbor profound suspicion toward their internal network. Will this institution or regime truly protect me until the end? This internal question is a universal psychological marker within high-stakes political organizations. In international political psychology, this can be understood as an individual-level security dilemma. Just as sovereign states struggle to trust one another, in an anarchic international system, individuals within a power structure begin to view their peers with intense mutual distrust. At this point, colleagues cease to be allies and become immediate threats. A minor laugh overheard in a hallway is interpreted as mockery. A superior's brief silence is parsed as a signal of imminent abandonment. Criminal psychology conceptualizes this state of mind as paranoid thinking. Even in the absence of an actual internal betrayal, the individual becomes convinced within their own mind that treason is already underway. Trust evaporates, leaving only suspicion, while the institutional facade may appear intact. Externally, structural fractures begin to spread rapidly within. Stage 4, redirection of hostility and the survival instinct. Initially, all hostility is projected outward toward foreign actors or external adversaries. Over time, however, the target of that anger shifts inward. Why must I be the sole sacrificial lamb? Why am I taking the fall when the directives came from above? Am I being discarded by the group? Through this process, internal hostility intensifies. Criminal psychology notes that when an individual feels trapped, the self-preservation instinct takes precedence over all other cognitive functions. This is particularly pronounced within co-conspiratorial or highly centralized power structures. The instinct to survive personally far outweighs organizational loyalty or ideological commitment. Consequently, information that was previously considered strictly classified or untouchable becomes reframed as leverage for negotiation. Internal records, meeting minutes, decision-making logs, and evidence of illegal directives are reassessed as personal assets to secure immunity or self-preservation. In international politics, this shift serves as a primary indicator of internal regime fragmentation. Stage 5, rational choice for survival and internal cooperation. In the final stage, the individual's fundamental strategic orientation undergoes a complete shift. They no longer calculate how to survive with the organization. Instead, they calculate how to survive at the expense of or apart from the organization. Criminal psychology evaluates this phase. through the framework of rational choice theory. Even under extreme emotional strain, human behavior remains calculating. The individual weighs probabilities of survival, balances potential losses against gains, and selects the option that offers the highest likelihood of self-preservation. At this point, the primary source of fear is not the external sanctioning authority, but internal rivals. If I do not speak first, someone else will. If I remain silent, the entire burden of liability will be placed on me. When this mindset takes hold, profound mutual distrust permeates the elite structure. The primary pillar maintaining the regime loyalty is steadily replaced by pure survival instinct. International political psychology analyzes this progression as a systematic degradation of internal regime cohesion. The 5 stages we have explored today do not merely detail the emotional trajectory of a single individual. International political psychology and criminal psychology study these mechanisms to comprehend how human beings within centralized power structures respond when subjected to extreme external pressure. In practice, individual personality traits, institutional structures, local political contexts, and international relations interact continuously, meaning not every actor follows an identical trajectory. Nevertheless, the reality that intense external pressure degrades internal trust and alters decision-making processes remains a critical field of inquiry in both political science and psychology. We analyze these psychological dynamics not to condemn specific, real-world figures, but to understand how authority influences human cognition and why unconstrained power poses inherent systemic risks. Power can embolden human action, but it can also severely distort one's perception of reality. For this reason, philosophers throughout history have consistently emphasized that restraint, accountability, and self-reflection are far more critical to governance than force alone. Thank you very much for tuning in to today's lecture. We hope this discussion provided you with a valuable lens for interpreting international relations and the complexities of human psychology under pressure. We will continue to bring you deep academic analyses, exploring the intersections of international politics, psychological theory, history, and philosophy. If you found this video educational and thought-provoking, please consider hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, and sharing this video with others who share an interest in geopolitical and psychological studies. Thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to seeing you in the next lecture.